They were caged outdoors, left to roast in the sun and freeze in the rain. Their teeth were yanked out with pliers or shattered with hammers. This wasn't some medieval dungeon. This was Phu Quoc Prison in the 20th century. This is Phu Quoc, Vietnam's largest island. First built by the French in the 1940s, it was massively expanded in the 1960s by the US-backed South Vietnamese government. The entire complex was a sprawling city of suffering, covering about 40 hectares and designed to hold up to 40,000 prisoners at its peak. It was surrounded by up to 15 layers of barbed wire, imposing guard towers, and a military police force that ran the place with systematic brutality. Walking through the recreated grounds today, it's deeply unsettling. The air is heavy, not just with the tropical heat, but with the sheer weight of what happened here. The most infamous section, known as B2, is where the worst scenes are brought to life with life-sized mannequins. And what you see is a calculated system designed not just to hold people, but to completely break their spirit. One of the most haunting displays is of the tiger cages. These weren't cells. They were tiny enclosures made of barbed wire, too small to stand up or even lie down in. Prisoners were forced into these cages and left outside, exposed to the blistering sun and the cold, damp nights. The ground was often sand, which would get scorching hot and burn their skin if they tried to rest. The message was clear: there is no escape from the pain, and the creativity they put into the cruelty, it's staggering. The exhibits document at least 45 different methods of torture. There are figures showing guards hammering nails into a prisoner's hands, knees, or even their head. Others depict a prisoner being forced into a barrel of water while a guard pounds on the outside, the vibrations causing internal bleeding. There were scenes of electrocution, of being scalded with boiling water, and of having your teeth chiseled or smashed out. An estimated 4,000 people died here from torture, disease, or starvation. Tens of thousands more were left permanently disabled. This wasn't just a prison, it was a factory of human misery, operating in direct violation of the Geneva Convention and any shred of human decency. The silence here today is pierced by the imagined screams of the past. The figures of the prisoners, frozen in agony, and the guards, impassive and cruel, tell a story of absolute power meeting absolute suffering. Walking away from this area, one heavy question just hangs in the air: how could anyone possibly survive this? But in the middle of all this hell, a secret story of incredible courage was being written. For every method of torture the guards came up with, the prisoners found a way to resist. Their resilience was a quiet rebellion, a refusal to be broken. And that resilience led to one of the most audacious acts you can imagine: escape. Despite the watchtowers, the minefields, and all those layers of barbed wire, there were dozens of escape attempts from Phu Quoc. Prisoners tried cutting through fences in the chaos of a storm. But the most incredible story, the one that truly shows their unbreakable spirit, lies right under the ground they suffered on. This is the story of an impossible tunnel. Today, you can walk through a section of a recreated escape tunnel, a monument to this incredible feat. According to the accounts preserved here, the real tunnels were dug over months, in total secret, using nothing more than spoons, scraps of metal, or the iron stakes from their own tents. Just think about that for a second. While enduring daily torture and starvation, these men were secretly digging right under the noses of their captors. Trying to grasp the logistics is just mind-boggling. The work had to be silent. The dirt they excavated, handful by handful, had to vanish. They'd stuff it into their pockets or pant legs and scatter it in the yard or hide it under their sleeping mats. One wrong move, one misplaced pile of dirt, meant discovery, torture, and certain death. They worked in teams. While some dug, others kept watch, ready to start an argument or a song to create a distraction if a guard got too close. They had to navigate around rocks and tree roots, with their progress measured in just inches a day. They had no engineering tools, only their shared determination and a desperate hope for freedom. This tunnel was their secret. It was a shared purpose that kept them alive when everything else was designed to kill them. One of the most famous escapes, as the story is told today, happened in 1969. For 6 long months, a group of prisoners dug. Their tunnel was 120 meters long, a testament to unbelievable patience and perseverance. It was just wide enough for one person to crawl through at a time, a dark, suffocating passage to a freedom that was far from guaranteed. This was more than an escape plan. It was a psychological victory. In a place designed to make them feel powerless, they were carving out their own destiny, one spoonful of dirt at a time. It was the ultimate act of resilience, proving that even when you're caged, the human spirit can still dig its way toward the light. The night of the escape must have been impossibly tense. Imagine you're one of those men, crawling on your stomach through that narrow, dark tunnel you've spent half a year digging. Every sound from above, every distant shout, could mean it's all over. The air is thin, the smell of damp earth filling your lungs. For 120 meters, they pushed forward, hearts pounding with a mix of pure terror and hope. And then, the breakthrough. The leader pushes up, and the earth gives way. They emerge into the darkness, past the final layer of barbed wire beyond the searchlights. They're out. One by one, 21 soldiers crawl out of the earth and into the jungle, finally free. This escape and others like it were huge achievements. They sent shockwaves through the prison. For the thousands of prisoners left behind, these stories were a powerful source of hope, a reminder that their captors weren't invincible. It proved their spirit of resistance that could have a real impact, that freedom wasn't entirely impossible. For the prison authorities, it was a humiliating defeat, showing that no amount of wire or walls could ever truly contain the will to be free. Today, Phu Quoc Prison is recognized as a special national relic of Vietnam. It has been preserved as a historical site and an educational museum where visitors can explore and reflect on the past. Exhibits and stories here continue to give this place a lasting importance. Leaving the prison, the contrast just hits you. Just a few kilometers away, tourists are sunbathing on beautiful beaches, and life goes on. This island, once a symbol of unimaginable suffering, is now a symbol of tropical paradise. And in a way, that's the second story of Phu Quoc. It's a story about a nation's ability to heal, to find peace and beauty in a place that once held so much pain. But the prison is still here. It insists that we remember both stories. The story of the atrocities, so we never forget what humans are capable of. And the story of resilience, so we never lose faith in the strength of the human spirit. A visit to Phu Quoc Prison isn't just a tour of a dark chapter in history, it's a profound lesson in humanity. It teaches us that even in the deepest darkness, people will scratch and claw their way towards the light, sometimes with nothing more than a spoon and an unbreakable will to be free. What do you think it says about humanity that in a place designed to completely crush the human spirit, people were secretly, painstakingly, digging their way to freedom? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's important we keep these stories alive.